In the quiet recesses of the mind, where the echoes of the world fade to a murmur, there lies a place of stillness, a place where we meet ourselves and the truths that govern the very essence of our being. It is here, in this sanctuary of the soul, that the ancient wisdom of Stoicism whispers its timeless lessons. Lessons not of grandiose conquests or fleeting pleasures, but of the deep, enduring strength that lies within us all. We are all seekers on the same path, walking the narrow road of life, beset by trials, temptations, and the turbulent forces of emotion. Yet within each of us, there is a power to rise above, to see clearly, and to act rightly, no matter the storms that rage around us. This power is not granted by fortune or circumstance, but by the cultivation of the mind, the discipline of the spirit, and the embrace of the principles that Stoicism offers. These principles are not mere abstract ideals, but practical tools, forged in the fires of experience by the great thinkers who have walked this path before us. Let us delve together into these 10 powerful Stoic principles, not as passive observers, but as active participants in the grand narrative of our lives. For in understanding these principles, we do not merely learn, we transform. 1. The dichotomy of control. At the heart of Stoicism lies a simple yet profound truth. Some things are within our control, and others are not. This is the foundation upon which all Stoic thought is built. We are reminded by Epictetus, one of Stoicism's greatest teachers, to make the best use of what is in your power and take the rest as it happens. In every moment, we must ask ourselves, what is within my control? The answer will always be our thoughts, our actions, and our responses to external events. Everything else, the opinions of others, the outcomes of our efforts, even the unfolding of the universe, is beyond our grasp. By focusing on what we can control and relinquishing attachment to what we cannot, we liberate ourselves from unnecessary suffering and step into true freedom. 2. The power of perception. It is not the events themselves that disturb us, but our judgments about them. This principle, articulated by Marcus Aurelius, is a call to mastery over our perceptions. The world is not as it is, but as we perceive it to be. Our mind then becomes the lens through which reality is shaped. We must train ourselves to see things as they are, without the distortions of fear, anger, or desire. This does not mean detachment from the world, but rather an engagement with it through a clear and rational mind. As we refine our perceptions, we find that many of the troubles that once seemed insurmountable are mere phantoms, dissipating like mist under the light of reason. 3. Embracing adversity. To the Stoic, adversity is not a curse but a blessing. It is through the trials of life that our character is forged and our virtues are tested and strengthened. Seneca, the Stoic sage, reminds us that fire tests gold, suffering tests brave men. When we encounter difficulties, we must welcome them as opportunities to practice our virtues: courage, patience, resilience. Adversity is the crucible in which we are refined, the proving ground of our inner strength. We are not defined by what happens to us, but by how we respond. In the face of hardship, we do not break. We bend, we adapt, and we grow stronger. 4. The practice of virtue. Virtue is the highest good, the ultimate aim of all our actions. For the Stoic, virtue is not a lofty ideal, but a practical guide to living a good life. It is through the practice of virtue, wisdom, justice, courage, and temperance that we align ourselves with the natural order of the universe. Virtue is not something we possess, but something we continually strive for. It is the compass that guides our actions, the standard by which we measure our lives. In every situation, we must ask ourselves, what is the virtuous thing to do? This question, when asked sincerely and consistently, leads us to a life of purpose and meaning. 5. Memento mori. Remember, death. Death is the great equalizer, the one certainty in life. Yet far from being a source of dread, the Stoic embraces the reality of death as a guide to living fully. Let us prepare our minds as if we had come to the very end of life, Seneca advises. Let us postpone nothing. Memento mori, or remember death, is a call to mindfulness, a reminder that life is fleeting and precious. By keeping the inevitability of death in mind, we are inspired to live with intention, to cherish each moment, and to act with urgency and clarity. Death, in its finality, teaches us what truly matters and frees us from the trivial concerns that often consume our lives. 6. Amor fati, love of fate. To love one's fate is to accept without reservation everything that happens in life. It is the Stoics' affirmation of the universe as it is, not as we wish it to be. Nietzsche, deeply influenced by Stoic thought, called this amor fati, the love of fate. This principle calls us to embrace all of life, including its pain and suffering, as necessary and meaningful parts of our existence. When we love our fate, we no longer resist the flow of life, but move with it, finding peace and joy in whatever comes our way. It is a radical acceptance, not of resignation, but of active participation in the unfolding of our destiny. 7. The impermanence of all things. Everything in life is transient, our possessions, our relationships, our very selves. Marcus Aurelius reminds us that the universe is change, our life is what our thoughts make it. The recognition of impermanence is a cornerstone of Stoic wisdom. By embracing the impermanence of all things, we learn to appreciate the present moment, to let go of attachments, and to live with a sense of balance and equanimity. We understand that nothing lasts forever, and this understanding frees us from the fear of loss and the clinging that leads to suffering. 8. The community of humanity. We are all part of a greater whole, interconnected and interdependent. The Stoic understands that our actions affect not just ourselves, but the entire human community. What injures the hive injures the bee, Marcus Aurelius wrote, reminding us of our duty to others. Stoicism calls us to act with compassion, to contribute to the common good, and to recognize our shared humanity. We are not isolated individuals, but members of a universal family. Our actions must reflect this awareness, guiding us to live in harmony with others and to seek the well-being of all. 9. The discipline of desire. Desire is the root of much of our suffering. We crave what we do not have, and in this craving we find dissatisfaction and discontent. The Stoic practice of desire is not to suppress it, but to discipline it, to align it with what is truly good and within our control. Epictetus teaches us to desire only what is within our power, and to cultivate indifference to everything else. By disciplining our desires, we free ourselves from the chains of want and the tyranny of external circumstances. We learn to find contentment within ourselves, independent of the world around us. 10. The serenity of acceptance. Finally, the Stoic embraces the serenity that comes from acceptance. Acceptance of life as it is, of others as they are, and of ourselves in our imperfect striving. This serenity is not passive resignation, but an active embrace of reality. We suffer more in imagination than in reality, Seneca observed. By accepting what is, we release ourselves from the unnecessary suffering caused by our resistance to reality. We find peace in the present moment and strength in our ability to navigate life's challenges with grace and wisdom. In these 10 principles, we find not just a philosophy, but a way of life, a path to inner strength, to freedom from destructive emotions, and to a deeper understanding of our place in the world. These principles are not easy, but they are powerful. They call us to a higher standard, to a life of virtue and purpose, to the mastery of the self. As we walk this path together, let us remember that the journey is not about perfection, but about progress. Each day is an opportunity to practice, to grow, and to become more aligned with the Stoic ideal. Let us strive not just to know these principles, but to live them, to embody them in our thoughts, our actions, and our lives. For in living the Stoic way, we find the true meaning of strength, the strength to face whatever comes our way, with calmness, with courage, and with the unwavering belief that we are, indeed, the masters of our own destiny.